Hey there, and welcome back to the Scary Tales. I know many of you listen to these stories as you drift off to sleep, so before you do, let's try something fun. Drop a comment and let me know where in the world you're tuning in from. And if you're enjoying these eerie tales, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Now, settle in, get comfortable, and let's begin. It started so subtly at first that I barely noticed. I live in a cramped apartment on the third floor of an old building with paper-thin walls. Every sound, arguments echoing down the hall, children laughing and running, someone's music blasting at 2 a.m., infiltrates every moment of your day. It's irritating, but eventually you learn to live with it. I share my space only with my cat, and the neighbors are mostly faceless figures in my daily routine. There was Zakai, a middle-aged man with thinning hair, who always greeted me politely in passing. He seemed perfectly ordinary, just another tenant. But a few months back, an unsettling sensation crept over me. I began feeling watched. It was hard to explain. Like that unnerving feeling when you know someone's eyes are fixed on you in a crowded room, even though you can't see them. Sometimes I'd glance out the window or peer into the corridor, convinced that I was being observed, yet there was never anyone in sight. Then came the small disappearances. At first, it was just trivial items. A pair of socks here, a hairbrush there, even a necklace I treasured. I convinced myself that I was simply being forgetful. But one day, I noticed my toothbrush was missing, even though I hadn't used it yet. That was the moment when a chill ran through me, and I couldn't shake the idea that something was very, very wrong. Around that time, a neighbor named Mark, the man from across the hall who'd once introduced himself, started talking to me more often. Initially, his casual comments about a late night or busy day at work didn't seem out of place, but soon I realized he knew details about my schedule that I'd never shared. I began to suspect that he was somehow eavesdropping through the thin walls. The sense of being violated in my own home grew unbearable. I started keeping my blinds drawn and even bolted my bedroom door at night, sometimes propping a chair against the knob, a small, futile measure to regain some semblance of security. One night around midnight, as I lay trying to sleep, I heard a faint scraping sound outside my door, like metal gently clinking against metal. My heart pounded as I crept toward the peephole on my phone. I peered out, but saw nothing amiss. The next morning, Mark asked me if I'd been all right the night before, casually mentioning that he thought he heard something outside my door. That's when the pieces began to click into place. How could he know unless he himself had been there? I swallowed my fear and said nothing, but the seed of dread had been planted. Over the following days, the oddities multiplied. Small items in my apartment were moved or missing, and I often felt that unseen eyes lingered in the corners. My cat, usually indifferent, would hiss at empty spaces and fix his gaze on the silent hallway. Every creak and whisper of the building's age filled me with an increasing sense of paranoia. I decided I couldn't live like this. One evening, I set up a small, discreet camera near my front door, a desperate attempt to catch the intruder on film. Days passed with nothing unusual until one chilly night, I reviewed the footage and froze. In the dim glow of midnight, a shadow moved through the corridor. The figure was unmistakably human, gliding silently toward my door. As the camera captured the moment, the figure paused and then, my blood ran cold. I recognized his gait. It was Mark. He lingered by my door, as if listening for something, and just as he reached out to the lock, the video cut off. My mind raced with terror and confusion. Was Mark behind the disappearances? Had he been watching me all along? I wrestled with the urge to call the police, but every rational thought was drowned out by fear and uncertainty. Instead, I began to document every strange occurrence, every missing object, every odd noise, every unnerving comment from Mark. Then, one rainy night, as thunder rumbled in the distance, I heard it again. That soft, unmistakable scraping outside my door. This time, I was ready. I grabbed my phone and crept to the door, heart pounding in my ears, and decided that if the intruder returned, I would confront him from a hiding place with my recording device at the ready. As I waited in the dim light, the doorknob rattled ever so slightly. A key turned in the lock. I held my breath and pressed myself against the wall, peering through the peephole. The door inched open, and a tall, shadowed figure slipped inside. Before I could retreat, a soft voice, disturbingly calm, broke the silence. "I know you've been watching me." It was Mark's voice, so familiar, yet now laced with something sinister. I managed a shaky whisper. "What do you want?" Mark stepped further into the room, his eyes flickering with a mix of sorrow and resolve. "I'm sorry," he murmured. "I never intended for any of this to happen. But I'm following orders. I couldn't let you interfere." "Interfere with what?" I demanded, my voice trembling. He hesitated, glancing around as if expecting someone else to appear. "There are things about this building you don't understand. Secrets that go deeper than petty theft or noise complaints. I was assigned to monitor you, and when you started noticing, you became a liability." Before I could press for details, a loud crash echoed down the hall. Mark's eyes widened in alarm. "They're coming," he said urgently. "You must trust me, even if it sounds crazy. There's a safe room in the basement, a service tunnel left over from an older era. We need to get you there, now." Fear battled with confusion as I weighed my options. Despite my terror, I knew I had no choice but to follow him. I grabbed my essentials, my phone, a small bag of belongings, and, without another word, Mark led me to a hidden side door. To my astonishment, he produced a set of keys and unlocked it, revealing a narrow, shadowed staircase. Down in the basement, the stale air and dim lighting gave the passage an otherworldly quality. Mark's whispered explanations tumbled out as we descended. He revealed that our building was more than just a simple apartment complex. It was a carefully chosen front for clandestine operations run by a secret organization. Every little incident, every missing item, and strange noise was part of a test to see if I was observant enough to notice the cracks in their facade. Now that I was aware, I was seen as a potential threat. "You've seen too much," Mark confessed, his voice heavy with regret. "They can't let you go back to your old life. I'm doing what I can to keep you safe, for now." We reached a sealed door at the end of a long corridor, the safe room he mentioned. Inside, the walls were lined with outdated maps, old documents, and a few monitors showing grainy footage from various parts of the building. As I tried to process the revelations, distant footsteps and muffled voices echoed through the tunnel. The storm outside seemed to intensify, mirroring the chaos that now roiled inside me. Mark looked at me with urgency. "I need you to listen carefully," he said. "There's a power struggle going on among those who run these operations. They use our building as a testing ground. You noticing the details, that was never supposed to happen. Now, they're coming for you. I can help, but you have to trust me." I felt trapped between disbelief and the primal need to survive. Everything I'd known, the mundane routine, the simple nuisances of apartment life, had shattered, replaced by a labyrinth of conspiracies and hidden agendas. As distant voices grew louder, we knew our time was short. Mark motioned toward a side door that led to another passage. "Follow me," he said, his tone leaving no room for questions. "We have to move before they find us." As we hurried through the winding corridors of the old service tunnel, the weight of every secret pressed down on me. I realized that my life was no longer mine to control. Every step we took further into the darkness was a step away from the familiar, into a world where trust was scarce and danger lurked in every shadow. Outside, the storm raged on, and somewhere above us, the building's secrets whispered of betrayals and hidden alliances. I clutched Mark's hand as we pressed deeper into the unknown, my mind reeling with questions. Who were they? What exactly was at stake? And could I ever reclaim the ordinary life I once knew? One thing was clear. The journey had only just begun, and with every heartbeat, I was drawn further into a web of intrigue that threatened to consume everything. As we vanished into the labyrinth beneath the building, the safe room door closed behind us with a final, resounding click, a reminder that some doors, once opened, can never be shut again. And so, in the claustrophobic darkness of a forgotten passageway, with the distant echoes of pursuers and the storm's fury above, my ordinary existence was irrevocably transformed into a fight for survival and for the truth behind the secrets hidden in plain sight. And that's a wrap for today's video. If you enjoyed the story and want more twists and turns, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you never miss an update. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to know what you think about all these secrets and surprises. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay curious and take care.